You're listening to Stand Tall and Own It, the podcast for high-performing female leaders who are ready to make an impact by discovering the safety that comes from understanding their own value and exercising their own authority. I'm your host, Andrea Johnson, and I'm here to tell you it is time to just truly be you, my strong friend. It's time to stand tall and own it. Hey there, welcome back to another episode of Stand Tall and Own It. I'm your host, Andrea Johnson, the Intentional Optimist, and I just looked at the calendar, and y'all, it is 7 weeks until 2025. Blows my mind that it's already here, but in thinking about what kind of topics I wanted to cover, I realized that there are some things that I've not even looked at in the concept of Stand Tall and Own It. I haven't even had many guests on this year, and there's some amazing women that some I personally follow and some I just listen to who can speak to a few of these topics from a place of expertise. So I'm doing a loose series of things that we as professional women kind of need to start owning. Things that we talk about maybe in our DMs or with our friends, but we don't necessarily go out and talk about in public. One of them we covered last week with Joanna Kleinman, who talked about dethroning our inner critic. It was very timely post-election. If you haven't listened to that and you need just a little bit of balance, go listen to that. It was a really good conversation about what goes on in our heads. And today, you ready for this? We're going to talk about our bodies and our style. I know. I mean, it's like, but specifically, we're going to talk to petite women out there. I am one of those people, and I cannot tell you how many times I have met someone in person and that one of the first things they say is, oh, wow, I would have never known you were so little. Now, I'm 5'1", a little over 5'1", you know, so I don't consider myself that little, but, and you might not be petite per se, but what do we do when the personality that we have doesn't always match the package? You're going to love today's guest. With over 2 decades of executive experience in the fashion and beauty industry, Angela Foster specializes in empowering high-achieving petite women to exude confidence by curating a wardrobe tailored to their unique needs. Now, if you want to show up self-assured for presentations, board meetings, or just daily life, sometimes all it takes is understanding how to curate the wardrobe that works for you, the one that accentuates your body shape and reflects your personal style. Now, I'm all about working from the inside out for your core values. Angela then helps us learn how to have the outside truly reflect who we are on the inside. And who doesn't want to stand tall and own that? Look, her expertise has been featured in Real Simple, which I was a subscriber to Real Simple with their very first episode. So that is like exciting to me. But Real Simple, BestLife, and inside of leadership coaching programs and on lots and lots of podcasts like mine. So let's go chat with Angela Foster. Hey, Angela, I am so excited you're here. We finally had to just hit record because we were having such a good time off camera. And so welcome.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me. Number one, I'm like a huge fan of you personally and of the podcast, and a little bit of a fangirl moment here, you know, like the bucket list.
Same.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah. So we were kind of looking back at how long we've been following each other and knowing, you know, kind of being aware of each other's spaces. And I've been, I don't know, how long have I been following you? You said I was probably one of your first follows on LinkedIn.
No, I know. Well, it took me forever to get on LinkedIn, which was ridiculous, but I feel like you're one of the very first people I connected to. And you have such an amazing, memorable image that, of course, you stand out to me like that. Just because I was like, cute blonde hair, great white shirt. You have that adorable pose in your headshot, which I adore. I've actually used you as an example for a couple of my Dress Your Brand sessions with clients. Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah, now I'm like having the fangirl moment. So I will tell you that I found you through Natalie Ekdahl. Yeah, so she is an amazing coach for female entrepreneurs, and she has niched her work down to the place where I'm not really in her circle anymore. Not because I don't love her, because I do. She produced in me so much motivation and she gave me so much information all the way through my first couple of years of entrepreneurship.
Okay.
And she gave you as an example of somebody who had a really good LinkedIn presence and a really good LinkedIn strategy. And you were able to grow and sell, even though you didn't want to, you were able to do that on LinkedIn. And I want to say this was, right after COVID, right? So
So,
I
mhm.
think that's when you hopped on,
Yes.
right?
Uh-huh. It was and I'm trying to remember now. It might have been like the spring after everything happened. I can't really remember now. But yes. Okay. So that explains
Mhm.
it. Yes, she is amazing.
Yeah.
So smart. But yes, to your point too,
Yeah.
now that she's working with nonprofits
Hmm.
primarily, I'm a
Hmm.
for-profit business, so that doesn't
Me too.
apply to me. So yes,
Yeah.
I've kind of fallen by the wayside.
So I've given my listeners just a little introduction of who you
Okay.
are, but not all of them are on LinkedIn and not all
Sure.
of them are petite women. So
Yep.
they're not necessarily following you. Can you give us
Sure.
just a little background of how you started, why you started doing what you're doing,
Yes.
and kind of what you do right now?
Right. Absolutely. So I was in beauty, fashion, retail for 20 years as an executive, and it was fine. I was like, like my job. I mean,
It's always
it
good
was
when you
like,
say it was fine.
it was, well, looking back on it now, but I mean, to be quite honest, and this is, well, I don't know if I should admit this, but I probably would still be doing that. But I was out of town at a national sales meeting and I was with a coworker slash girlfriend. And she had just gone through a divorce. She just had her second baby. So she was having a lot of body image issues,
Mm,
self-esteem issues, and all of that. And happened to be a short girl like me. And she said, you always make it look so easy. You always look great, always have something fun on. Everybody always talks about how great you look, blah, 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 blah. Would you be willing to help me? And I was
mm,
like, oh my gosh, 100%. So, yes, that's how it started. Very organic. And
yeah.
honestly, Andrea, you would die laughing if you saw. I would like literally be in a store somewhere. I would take a picture, text it to her, and be like, "Oh my gosh, this would look amazing on you. You should buy it." What I mean, like this was it was very organic. But looking back on it now, and I feel like the reason why it had such an impact on me was I saw her as smart and gorgeous and so successful and so on top of it. And like as far as I was concerned, she was killing it. So the fact that she
Mm,
was actually felt all of this self-doubt and self-esteem and all of that was heartbreaking to me
mm,
and quite frankly ridiculous. Like
mm,
I think as women, we look at other successful women, and sometimes we just always assume they not only have the successful business piece figured out,
mm,
they also have their personal life is amazing. Their kids are
mhm.
well behaved. Their dog doesn't jump on people. You know what I mean? Like they have it all going on. and, and really, I mean, like, as far as I'm concerned, if I have one of those things done, like
Oh.
if Archie goes a day and doesn't jump on somebody, I'm like, hallelujah, praise the Lord. I'm the best dog mom on the planet, which hasn't happened
Okay,
yet.
we have to
But
pause and say, what kind of dog is Archie?
oh my gosh. So he is a rescue puppy, the cutest darn thing I've ever seen in my
Okay.
life. I fell in love. I told my boyfriend, I'm sorry. He's taking your place as like the number one man in my life. And then so Rich gets mad. And then I say, well, listen, if you wagged your tail so hard you knocked yourself over when I walked in the door,
Amen.
you'd be number one. But
Yep.
he does it and you don't. So
I love it. Our
yeah,
dog is also a rescue.
love
Shasta
that.
is, but she's almost pure beagle. We're in Virginia in hunt country up here. So she was found roaming out in the fields and she is now 12, but she's also a dog that will wag herself.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
we had friends come over and they're really intelligent, like not jokingly at all. They're intelligent children said, the torque on the tail is not in proportion to the body. And I've never forgotten that because I think it was like a fifth grader that said that.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
so I
love that.
feel the whole tailwind. Okay,
Yes.
we can go
Happy
back to the
tail.
interview now. We're all dog lovers around here, so we had to pop in there and say, okay, so I think this is this is very real, this idea that we think that if somebody is doing well in one area, that they're doing well in every area.
Mhm.
And I'm touched by your heart
Oh,
here that you have for your friend because you thought she was killing it because she was smart and doing well in her job.
mhm,
But you were surprised to find all these other internal messages and all these things that she was dealing with.
mhm.
So, moving from that into like doing this for a business, how did you get
Right.
there?
Right. So we were probably together like 4, 6 weeks maybe where and then she, to really like get her, like her closet fitting the body that she had that day and
Right.
that, post baby time and all of that. And her personal circle of friends started commenting like, oh my gosh, you're going through all this and you look amazing and blah, blah, blah. So she said to me, do you mind if I share your name and number with them?
Wow.
And I'm like, well, of course, I'm happy to help. And, but I also have a job, you know? So, and it was just one of those things. And you know how, like, how it happens, like all of a sudden you get to that point where you can't do everything well. And that just, and I think it's probably like my Midwestern family that just like that really bothers me when I feel like I'm dropping the ball in some
Mm.
area or whatever. So just a decision had to be made. And I thought, you know what? I didn't even know that it was possible to have a career, a business based on helping women feel confident and like they were owning their presence and all of that. And it was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I get paid to do this?
Mm.
No, no question. And I know I sound like a total sap, but there's something about watching a woman's confidence grow, not
Mm.
only in what she has on, but to be visible, to take a big chance, to do all of those things that were maybe in the back of her mind, but she was always holding back for some reason. There's something about witnessing that that is the most magical thing that I can imagine.
I'm going to second that with you.
Right?
And I see it in a different way when I see, but watching another woman decide, you know what, I love that. Witnessing this change from holding something back to then sharing it or just living it rather than, and I deal with this myself. I'm going to guess that there are a few areas in your life that you deal with that as well. And you probably have other people that encourage you there because none of us is perfect. And we just talked about how just successful in one area doesn't mean successful in all areas. But in the introduction I shared, and I shared this a minute ago with you, that I work with people on their core values and understanding why they're showing up the way they are and how they can honor the things that are important to them. And so I get to see the light bulb come on there when they say, oh my goodness, I've been the worst perpetrator of this. I've been the one that's dishonoring myself. And then you get to see the light come on when they say, this thing that I want to start sharing, now I'm really going to do that. This is probably some of the most rewarding work we can do is helping
Yeah.
it. It's very service oriented.
Completely,
Yeah.
completely, absolutely. That's one of the funny things. So people who aren't familiar with what a style coach does or what the process is and all of that, they're always like, but I don't want to dress like you. And I'm like, oh, nor should you, nor should you, for no other reason than, we have different, to your point, different values, different business models, different branding, all of that. So it's not about me helping you dress like me. It's about us discovering what your style is that represents not only you personally, but also your business, your personal life, everywhere that you want to show up and feel and look great. So
Mhm.
it's not about dressing like me. We have different bodies, we have different, everything.
Well, let's
So,
walk through a couple of basics
yes.
because I am always surprised at how many women do not know some of the basics in body types and how we dress them and what they mean. Because
Yep.
we'll use me as a test case. I'm
Okay.
not 5'2" anymore. I used to say I was 5'2", but but they keep telling me I'm like 5'1.5". So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna own that. I'm 5'1" and something. Um, I've struggled all my life. I've worked with being overweight. I'm a gastric bypass patient. I am a pear of all pears, right? I'm little on top and I carry it all in the saddlebags. And I've always said I am a pear with like this stanky face and
Hmm.
derision.
Hmm.
And because I will never have the long legs. I don't wear boots well. It's like, and you and I've had conversations through LinkedIn. So you know the things that I like and don't like. But how do you help women understand? And do you I'm gonna let you talk, I promise. But there's a lot of different ways to look at our types.
There
Which
is.
ones do you use and which ones do you find to be helpful?
Oh my gosh. Could you have asked me a more perfect question?
Oh, good.
And I could go on for hours. So please feel free to stop me at any point in time. So I walk clients now. And of course, this was like my first client way back when. That was 5 years ago. We've gotten better since then. And now I have a 5 step process that I walk them through. It's called S.P.A.R.K. The very first one is body shape because nothing else really matters unless you know the styles and silhouettes that are going to flatter your individual body shape.
Mm,
Having said that, as women, our bodies change all the time, especially as short girls. I
okay.
mean, Andrea, you know as well as I do, you put on 5 pounds,
Oh, yeah.
you see 5 pounds. I have one of my girlfriends, she's supermodel tall, and she gains 5 pounds. And I'm like, do your clothes even fit different? Like, I don't even understand.
Mm.
So, it's much different. Like, we don't have as much vertical real estate. So you can see you can
I'm
see
using that vertical real estate. Okay.
absolutely, go right ahead. So you can see everything. So that has to, like, we have to be able to address that. And then, of course, too, at our age, weight starts to shift around
Hmm.
and ends up where, like where it used to not end up. So, first thing we do is talk about body shape. Now, when I first started coaching, and I would ask them about their body shape, they would say things to me like, "Oh, I'm an apple, and my shoulders are too broad, and my bust is too big," or to your point, "I'm a pear, and my butt's too big, my hips are too wide." It was always like, "This is what I am, and this is why it's wrong or bad,"
Yes.
or all of that. So we approach it a lot differently now. And what I do when I'm first working with new clients, and this is whether they're like a VIP client or, they just bought a one-off session, whatever it is, we start here. And I say, "Andrea, what is your favorite feature? What do you love most about your figure?" And it could be your bust, it could be your shoulders, it could be your décolleté, it could be your legs, it could, whatever it is. Before we start talking about what we don't like, what we want to camouflage, what we want, all of that, we say, okay, how are we going to emphasize your bust? How
Mm.
are we going to do that? And it's not a hoochie mama, low
No, no,
cleavage,
no.
lots of, you know what I mean? It's whatever works with their lifestyle and works with who they are as a person. And then we come up with, it depends on what the situation is, 2 5 ways that we can accentuate your favorite feature every single day. So we start there first. It's not to say that we don't talk about, like, I'm not crazy about my thighs and I'm not going to wear, skinny jeans or anything. We deal with the things we don't like and how to camouflage them. It's just not the first thing we think about.
Mm.
And honestly, I can't tell you it again, another like makes my heart happy moment when clients will leave me reviews or they'll write me thank you note or whatever. And they're like, it totally changed the way I look at my figure. It totally changes the way I look at my closet. It changed everything.
Mm.
Being able to concentrate on what I love about myself first every single morning changes my self esteem, my confidence, everything. And it is
Mm.
just it's such a game changer. So no,
Wow.
we don't talk about fruit salads around here.
Okay. No fruit
No
salad.
fruit.
Well, and I can sit here and like for me, an answer that I would give is like my shoulders and my like from like the shoulders up. And I don't mean that in a way that's like everything else is bad. It's just like I know that I have pretty strong shoulders for a pair and for a short girl, but I also like the way my collarbones show. And I like that. And when you put things like a wide collar on me, I know that looks really good. And I have been noticing because at my age, I'm starting to listen to some voices outside of my head, which is there, that comes with wisdom and discernment and age and willingness to listen or maturity, maybe. But, when people look at me, they don't see what I see as a negative. They don't see the thighs I don't care for or the ripples that I don't like or my rear end. And I'm looking at other women dressing thinking, she looks really happy. I wouldn't wear those pants, but she looks really happy. And I'm like, why couldn't I wear those pants and look really happy or whatever? You know what I mean? So I think
Yes.
this is lovely starting with the positive.
Absolutely. Yes, to your point, you can see things. And I think that's, again, that kind of comes from our age and our maturity, right? We've gone through all the things like trying to impress our girlfriends, to trying to find a guy, you know what I mean? And
Mhm.
we've gone through all that, letting what others think in. And now what's lovely about this age, there's quite a few things actually, but one of the things that's loveliest is that we know who we are. And I mean, we're okay with it, right? Like, they can say, I'm like, I don't care. Like, it's okay. You don't have to think I'm awesome. I'm fine with that,
I'm getting there. I'm
Right.
still working on that in certain
Well,
places, but
yes, I know. I have, trust me, I have
yeah.
my moments. But the other thing that's great about it from a style standpoint is it's okay. I can see somebody in a wide leg pair of pants. Wide leg pants are a hot topic around here right now. I can
I
see
like them.
somebody,
Yeah.
right? I can see, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, they look amazing on her. Not for my body shape, not my style. And it's okay. I can walk by them and I don't feel obligated to add them to my closet just because that happens to be the hot trend of the season,
Mm.
which I think is one of the things that you get to. Like you get to that point of I can like it. I can like it on other people. I don't have to own it to like
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? That thing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So when we talk about body style, we're
yep.
not talking about fruit salad.
Right.
So what is you said Spark is
Yes.
your
Yes.
process. Is there
Yep.
do they each is it an S.P.A.R.K that start what are
Yes.
they? Yes.
Yes. So can we, you know what? I just realized I kind of dropped the ball in the middle of the body shape thing, but I did want to address it because you made a comment about your shoulders.
Yes.
The bottom line is when it comes to, and I want your listeners to really be able to walk away with something tangible that they can put
Yes.
into practice right away. So when it comes to dressing for your body shape, all we're doing is using clothes to create the illusion of balance.
Okay.
A balanced body shape is when your top half is roughly the same measurements as your bottom half. I mean, easy enough. We get into it a little bit deeper, but that's the bottom line. So, to your point, if you have delicate shoulders and a perky bust, then that's where you're going to add volume. You can add volume a couple of different ways, either by style, meaning like puff sleeve or an oversized collar or exaggerated shoulders. That's going to style. Those are the styles, some of the styles that will add volume to the top. You think about material and fabric, thicker, heavier materials are going to add volume on top. So if you have that, like delicate shoulders, perky bust, and you add volume on top, then you just created the illusion of balance as long as you don't add volume on the bottom. So
Right.
keep it clean and tailored on the bottom, add volume on top, you're good to go. Or vice versa. So if you have like a voluptuous bust and then, like slim thighs and narrow hips, then that's where you want to add the volume. So, pleated skirts or fuller skirts and that type of thing. Wide leg pants.
Yeah. Well, I have the fuller bottom, so I probably shouldn't wear the wide leg pants, but I got to tell you, they make me feel confident and they make me feel tall. And I know that that's not always the goal, but people meet me and they say, "I had no idea you were so little."
Right,
Because
right.
I have a big personality and I don't sit small. And
Mhm,
so there and I think you would probably go along with this. There are sometimes we just decide we're going to be confident in something, whether it is the most flattering thing on our bodies or not, because we
mhm.
feel good. Right.
Yes,
And that's part of
yes.
it. But I love this creating the illusion of balance.
That's all it
So
is.
yeah, okay, so let's go with the spark. What is that?
Yes. So the first one's body shape. The second one is your perfect pant formula because whether you're short or not, pants are a pain in the butt for women. They're too long,
Yeah.
they're too short, they're uncomfortable, they create a muffin top, they're up, they're too high rise and they make a butt look flat. Like there's a bajillion pant problems out there. So we
Yep.
come up with your perfect pant formula so that you'll always know how long they need to be, what kind of rise looks best on you and your figure, so that it's so much easier to find pants. Because I mean, I honestly I had a client one time and I didn't even know what to say. She's like, I have 80 pairs of pants in my closet and
Oh,
not one of them do I love. I was like,
my word.
I hope you've been collecting those since high school because 80 pairs, that's too much. Like that's
Yeah.
so, yeah. But that's what happens. It's like such a conundrum. And so we just keep trying them on and buying them and they still don't work and we don't know why and all of that. So the pants is again another topic I feel passionate about. Then the third one is determining what your signature accessory is going to be. A lot of women have a whole jewelry box full of just stuff, right?
Mhm.
Like they have a pair of earrings to go with that outfit, or a bracelet that goes with that outfit, or whatever, whatever. And it just creates this hodgepodge. And then we have to go out and buy new accessories every time we buy a new outfit because we
Hmm.
don't have like a signature accessory that we have something that goes with almost everything that we could possibly
Right.
buy. So we determine the accessories. Then we refine your style. That goes into what colors look best on your skin tone. Now we are not the color police. I don't like, and I always think about my grandma because she was like the first one who did that whole color me beautiful or whatever it was,
I did
like back
it.
in the 80s.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, yeah. She took me. I wanted her to. And she had the palette and she anytime before she would buy anything, she'd bust out the palette and she'd have to make sure it matched. It drove me crazy. So we
My
wanted
husband has the palette. His mom did Color Me Beautiful. My husband has a little wallet-sized thing with the little swatches of fabric. And I mean, he's a summer, right? And he's a spring summer. And he is figuring out now that he can wear things outside of that. But
yes.
part of it is his color has changed a little bit and his hair has gone a little more gray. And,
Yes.
so we look a little different, but I love this
Mhm.
coloring, finding the right colors that work for you.
Mhm. And I mean, obviously, we want it to be flattering. That's not to say, though, if you love black and black isn't one of your neutrals, that you should never wear black.
Hmm.
But there might be different ways. Can you mix it up with something else that is a good color for you? Or can you wear it on the bottom? So we talk about different things like that. For my clients, though, they're busy, like
Mm.
busy, busy. They want it to be getting dressed in the morning to be as fast and easy as possible. They also travel a lot for business, many of them.
Mm.
So packing is a deal. Well, if 80% of your closet is in a specific color palette, it makes all of that so much easier because 80% of your closet can be mixed and matched. So everything is just so much simpler. Then part of also the other part of the R is refining your style. And so clients and I work together to pick the three adjectives that they want to use to describe their aspirational style.
Mm.
And this is kind of a work in progress. And
Okay.
when I say that, I mean when we first start working together, it's like oh, I want to seem credible and I want to be professional and those types of like really vague, broad
Mm.
words.
Hmm.
And then as we work through the whole process, they get like more defined, more defined, more defined until it like really says something. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I want to be like minimalist or like tailored and put together. Like they become like a lot more specific words. But you end up buying a lot of the wrong thing if you don't know what you're trying to say with your style,
Hmm.
right? Especially as business owners.
Hmm.
I am like, one of my words is feminine, another one is edgy. Well, if I go through Nordstrom and there's a black pantsuit on sale, no matter how cute it is, no matter how it fits, no matter how I look, it doesn't matter. I'm not never ever going to buy a black pantsuit. That's just not it's not who I am. It's not what my style is. So it helps you walk away from some of those things that you might be tempted to purchase otherwise. And
Mm.
then the final thing is keep your closet clean. So we go through and do a closet audit, get rid of stuff that doesn't fit, you don't like, doesn't speak to you anymore, blah, blah, blah. And then we also create a list of things that maybe like their gaps.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, I find with my clients, the number one gap is a lack of just essential basics. They don't have a long sleeve black tee that they can wear underneath a cashmere sweater, things like that. So we're missing some of the basics that would make getting dressed a whole lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, I love all of this.
Oh,
And I'm sitting
good.
here, of course, applying it to myself because that's what we do, right? So understanding body shape is balance. The perfect pants formula. I know I've responded to a couple of your posts on LinkedIn about, yeah, I know that my inseam needs to be right at about 29, or, I mean, I know certain things, but we had
Yes.
conversations about cropped versus not cropped. And if it's a wider leg pant, I want it a little longer. And I mean, so we've talked about those kinds of things, but I'd be curious to hear a couple of pieces about the pants formula. But I'm
Yes.
also looking at this signature accessory thing. I have a friend, actually, she's my podcast producer. She's probably gonna be like cringing when she hears me say this, but she has a beautiful piece of jewelry that she helped design, or maybe she designed it all and had made from like family heirloom jewelry. And it's beautiful. And she wears it with almost everything, and it goes with almost everything. And when I see it, I'm like, she's on today. She's got her necklace on.
Mhm.
Um, and I have discovered that I used to do that. I need a pair of earrings to go with this outfit. I need a bracelet. I need this, that, and the other. And finally, I was like, this is stupid. Why don't I wear? Because if you're going to ask me pearls or diamonds, I'm usually going to wear pearls. And, asking yourself questions like that really helps. But I find I have a lot of pretty simple silver or gold jewelry that I wear with almost everything.
Yes.
And
Yes.
let me tell you, ladies who aren't doing that yet, Even if it's not gold or silver, whatever it is, if you're
Yep.
not doing this piece, it's like Coco Chanel always said, get dressed and then take something off. And it simplifies the process. It's just like having a capsule wardrobe. It's like almost having capsule jewelry and
Mhm.
being able to say, I think I want to wear my big palm gold, earrings today, or I nope, I'm wearing the simple diamonds, or I'm wearing pearls today. And that really just kind of settles it all down. It can dress up or down an outfit, etc.
Yep. Yes.
Um,
I love that. And it's so true. It just takes that whole, when you buy an outfit and now you're like, oh no, now I have to buy shoes. Now
mm,
need to know if I have a handbag that goes with it. Now it's just one
no,
less thing to worry about because you know that you're going to have the perfect earrings at home. So,
right. And if
yes.
I buy a pair of, and going back to the color piece, if I buy a pair of pants, I want to know that I have things in my closet that will go with it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I went through a I don't know, a period of time where because I've seen color wheels now, and I'm a winter, but they call me a bright winter because I wear like the neon colors, the really bright colors, and I'm I will wear black and gray and stuff, but I still there's browns that I wear, but I went through this period of time where I kind of got rid of all the warm colors,
Okay.
and so the problem is now that like burgundy is back in and all that, it's like I had to wear black with it the other day. And it's like, oh, because my pants are this gorgeous eggplant burgundy. And so maybe speak a little bit to holding on to certain things
Mhm.
and part of this closet clean out. How do you resist the urge to just toss things because they might not be in the color palette that you think? I mean, how do
Right.
you help people hang on to the things that really will matter?
So once you know which styles and silhouettes fit your body shape, that alleviates a lot
Okay.
of issues in your closet because you can say, like for me, I'll say, like, you know what? A midi length pleated skirt is never going
Yep.
to look great on me. So just peace out. Somebody else deserves to have the pleasure of wearing this. It's just not
Mm-hmm.
me. So once you go through and you're like, okay, so these are the styles that for whatever reason thought they were awesome, never wear them. I'm going to like purge them, donate them, whatever. Once you get done with that, then we look and see, okay, so out of all of these, because what the clients do is after they have their 3 words, they turn them into private Pinterest boards that they and I share together. And we can, it's unbelievable. Like once you, and if you, and Andrea, I would love it if you would do this exercise and share it with me
Okay.
because there is
I'm
something
already
that
making notes.
there is something that when you say, for example, you want to be like fun and creative, like that's your style. You create a Pinterest board and you're like creative. That's my style. And you start pinning different images and graphics to it. And then Pinterest, because they're blooming brilliant with their algorithm, they'll start
Biggest
sending
search
you,
engine. Uh-huh.
yes, they'll start sending you all of these amazing images. After you have like 25 to 35, you and I will go through it and we'll be like, oh, girl, look at this. So many commonalities come through, like
Okay.
the popped collar, the cotton button down shirt, like all of it. You'll start to see those
The
comments.
things I'm wearing today.
Thank you, because I would otherwise I'd have been scrambling to come up with that. But we'll go through and see the commonalities, and even women who are like, I didn't even know I had a style. I'm like, girl,
Mm,
not only do you have a style, but it is so well defined. So
mm,
then we start saying, okay, well, Andrea, do you have enough cotton button downs that will get you through whatever you have on your calendar this season for the presentations, for the videos, for the, podcast videos, all of that. And then we'll figure out where we need to, pop them in. One of the things that happens more often than not is women don't try to get rid of stuff, they try to hang on to stuff
uh-huh.
more than anything.
Okay.
And I'm not opposed to hanging on to things. If there is a visceral connection because you met your guy when you were wearing that dress 20 years ago, God bless you. It's fine. Go ahead and keep it.
Mm,
If you're holding on to a pair of jeans that you bought when you were your ideal weight for 5 minutes,
mm,
let's talk about that some more. I
mm,
don't think that it does women any good, and I know it doesn't do me or any of my clients any good when we hold on to stuff that is a size that I'll likely never ever be again. Because every
mm,
time I look at that, it could be the cutest, most expensive, it doesn't matter. If I look at that, and every time I look at that, instead of filling me with like, oh, I can't wait to wear it next time,
right.
instead of a oh, if my butt wasn't too big or if my thighs weren't too fat, I might actually be able to get those zipped. Or if my
Yeah.
stomach wasn't so bloated, whatever. Like going through all of that negativity in the morning when you're getting dressed or just when you're in your closet and it's not helpful for any of us.
Right.
So that's when we need to get rid of it. Did that answer your question or was that
It
just a
did, and
big
it sparked
soapbox
another
tangent?
one
Okay,
because
good.
this is good back and forth.
Okay.
Because I have over the last 4 years, and I just another piece I'm owning is I'm 15 years postmenopausal. I went through very early menopause,
Okay.
which is why my son is adopted. But because of that, I have different like it's hitting me differently at 58. And over the past 4 years, I put on 29 pounds. For a petite, that's a lot, right? So I
Mhm.
have, let's see, 4 sizes smaller sitting in my closet or in a bag in the attic. And
Yeah.
as somebody who's a gastric bypass patient, it really is hard to let go of those things.
Hmm.
So and then for some of us, we're on budgets, right? How
Yep.
do you work with a
Yep.
client who may have a budget that makes it very difficult to let go of things?
Absolutely. This is such a good question, and I love that you shared about that. I had it wasn't a menopause thing at that point; it was just a girl problem thing, and I gained 35 pounds. So,
Mm,
girl, when you say
yep.
it, yes, you look totally different, and nothing, and of course, nothing fits. So, and I get that whole thing of, well, what if I gain 35? Like, what if I gain it back or whatever? Then I'm not going to have anything to wear again. So just because you don't want to get rid of it or it might be too big or too small or whatever right now doesn't mean it needs to be in your primary closet. So the things that are in your primary closet, the first place that you go when you get dressed in the morning should be the things that fit, should be the things that make you feel great. Everything else, to your point, can be in a box in the attic or in the basement or in a guest bedroom or whatever. I don't want women to rebuy the same thing over and over again any more than they want to do that. On the flip side, we just don't need to see it every day, especially if it makes us feel bad, right? So, one of the things I say before my clients get to that point of purging is they'll do the three different buckets. They'll do the donation bucket,
Sure.
they'll do the thrifting bucket, and then they'll do like oh, I could probably have this altered and make it work or, make it more flattering or whatever. So, put them in the three different buckets before you do anything. Put them in a box, a bag, whatever, put them someplace where you don't see them, and then set an alarm on your phone for 30 days.
Yeah.
If you haven't busted into it in 30 days, if you haven't thought about it in 30 days, chances are you can let it go and be fine,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when the 30 days, the alarm goes off, don't feel obligated to open the box or the bag and check out what's in there. You'll have to start all over again, right? Just let it go.
Mm, yeah.
But that gives them some of it takes away some of the stress of purging your closet when
Yeah.
it's not like you're not immediately putting in the trunk so that you can drive to Goodwill. Like
Right.
that's too much pressure for any of us.
Right.
So yes, did that
Yeah,
help?
no, that's good. And the other piece too is we have to weigh what I hear you saying is that we almost need to weigh out the expense of our daily piece versus the expense of replacing stuff in our closet. And if I clean the things out of my primary closet, and I'm in a Cape Cod, so I have almost no closet space. So when you said guest bedroom, I'm like, yeah, I can't even get in that closet because it's um because we have to change out seasonally. But um my if I have to clean out my primary closet where it looks bare or sparse because things don't fit, at least I now have knowledge, right? And I just even told my son yesterday, he's studying biology, and he's like, I don't want to learn some of this stuff. He's 15. And I'm like, knowledge is power, my friend. And so it still gives us knowledge, right? It gives us data points to say, it may not be that I want to be this size forever. It may be that I may be this size forever, but and I've had points in my life where I've said this before, I need things that fit me right now.
Right.
I need things that
Yes.
fit me now and make me feel good and make me, especially for business owners, to be able to go out and do my business and to be able to show up in front of people
Mhm.
and know that I'm going to feel confident
Mhm.
being myself. And
Yep.
so can we speak, unless you had something to say to that, really quick, these words, because I have 3 words that I love to use. A speaking coach actually helped me with this.
Okay.
Words that I like, and I work with people on core values, so it's a little bit similar, but that
Mhm.
I want people when they leave my presence. I don't they don't need to be able to say this about me, but I want them to kind of feel this: spunky, welcoming, and wise. And so how would you take that and kind of morph it into like how you want to look because
Yes.
you can look spunky. I mean, I think Punky Brewster when I hear that, and that's not how I want to look. But welcoming could be like grandmotherly, and I don't want that either. So how would you start the work on that so that people,
I
as they're listening, could get started?
Yes, I love that. Okay. So it doesn't matter what I think of those words. Like clients will come up with words and I'm like, "Really? Oh, that's interesting because I don't look at
I
you
hear
and
you.
think quirky or whatever
Mhm.
whatever the case may be." It doesn't matter what I think of. What matters is that they're able to articulate it and then tie it into something specific.
Okay.
So, whatever that looks like to them. Now, a lot of clients, especially my clients who are entrepreneurs and have been through some sort of a branding process before with a branding expert when they were doing their logo and their colors and all of that, they'll oftentimes have a brand thesaurus. So that's where I'll
Okay.
tell them to start. So to your point, those words might not be your style words, but
Okay.
what I would do is start with your brand thesaurus that your branding expert gave you, created for you, whatever, and start going
That is
through.
a huge assumption. I have never had a branding expert.
I cannot believe that because your brand is so specific and consistent. I
Well,
can't,
thank you. It
you
is
did that
all me.
yourself.
It's me. I've done all of it. My
Congratulations.
everything that's on my website, everything that's curated on social media, it is 100% Andrea Johnson. I'm the only person that's
Unbelievable.
ever done it. Yes.
Yeah, you.
So,
That's a
well, thank
talent.
you.
That's a
Okay.
talent. I also think, not to get on, but I also think that that's because partly at least is because you're so authentic. And
Mm,
you're not trying to be somebody. You do know what I mean? So you know who you are, you know what you want to do, you know how, you know what I mean? So
sure.
that absolutely helps support that. And but you're so bloomin' consistent. Like that is, I mean,
We can only
congratulations.
do what we can
Seriously.
do.
Oh,
You
no,
either have
congrats.
it, you either have what it takes to do what you're doing or you don't. And it's like I can only there are plenty of ways, Angela, in which I show up and I'm thinking, oh, I was such a fraud that day. Or I just didn't, I did that was not me. And I have gone through, if you go back, like I invite people to go back through my Instagram because there's a lot. You can go back and see that there was a little bit of I've done my own personal work on branding, like archetypes and that kind of thing. And there was some girl next door and there was some outdoorsy and there was some that kind of stuff and organic. And then it's like, and then it was like blingy and it's like, but I've gone through my own metamorphosis, maybe.
Yes, I was just, yep.
Yeah.
Don't you think though that when it comes to, because especially after you've had your business for a while, right?
Right.
I mean, you're not the same person you were 10 years ago. Why
Right.
would your brand be the same?
Right.
Or why would your clients be the same? I mean, I haven't, what is it? So 2017, well, let's say 2018, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
A lot has changed in 6
Yeah.
years, right? I mean, heck, I think I used to use turquoise as one of my brand colors. I don't know where that came from.
Me too. And everything was
Oh,
flamingos and pineapples. And, it's just,
oh,
and we grow, right?
yes,
It's
of
like
course.
the
Yes.
flamingo is still a great, like my friend calls it my spirit animal. It's like there's a certain amount of like, talk about stand tall and own it, but it doesn't feel like that's my branding anymore, right? It's like
Right.
there's something that's a little deeper than that. So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Um, okay.
So,
So you were
okay. So since
saying,
no, no, no. So since you didn't have a branding expert, you came up with all of this brilliance on your own. I do have a style thesaurus, and it's a worksheet that I give my clients. And it's not, I mean, they can absolutely, and I have had clients just pick 3 words from there and say, this is me. This like totally
okay,
speaks to me. And if that's the case, fantastic. It doesn't always, but it does start the brainstorm thing. The other thing that I'll say is, and this is what I noticed, and it was kind of like when I was talking about clients that I take through the VIP process, right? At like when we start the VIP day off, the 3 words are likely not going to be the 3 words we end up with at the end of the
yeah,
day, right? Because they
yeah,
get very specific. But that's okay. I mean, it's not like you're like locked into these words and you're trapped and you can never change them, right?
right.
It's fine and you can refine them and get more specific and all of that. So, yes, I do give them a starting place to go. Um, so for listeners who I'm sure most of them have Pinterest boards because that stuff is addictive. It's like crack. I'm telling
I
you.
have them. I just haven't been there in a long time. So, yeah,
Well,
but I'll
can I
do
tell?
it. I will happily do this exercise.
Oh, I'm so glad. But I mean, I'm telling you, that is like the biggest time suck. I mean, like that is one thing that I mean,
That's
just
probably why I'm not in there.
right. No, I know. Unfortunately, I can't because like my clients and I are going back and forth with it and all, and I get yes. And then all of a sudden I'm looking for like, cheesy grit recipes. And I'm like, what
Yeah.
the heck is going on? So yes, yeah.
Well, if you find any really good cheesy grits, send them to me. Because I don't know how to make them myself, but if you can find a good place to get them, I am all about it. So let's pivot just a little bit because
Yep.
I don't want to run over time here and run out of some good questions. But that's given us a really good understanding of not just what you do, but how we can actually look at ourselves a little differently and look at our closets and kind of run through. And I will tell everybody listening, I've got a link that's in the show notes that angelafoster.co/Andrea. How easy is that? And it is a really great little landing page with all kinds of ways to work with Angela. But I'm going to assume that that piece that you give out to your clients is something that would be behind a different wall, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
So, yes, but I was going to say the best thing about that page is because, yes, there's a lot of information on it or whatever, but is the body shape quiz.
Right.
Right. So, that's what I would encourage your listeners to start off with because just like whether they work with me one on one or just, more removed on the email list or through the quiz and that type of thing, that is absolutely the place to start. It really does just put you into such a good place because, like we were talking about before, like our bodies are going to change. So
Mm,
that's great that you know how to dress the body that you have today, but chances are in 5 years, your body's not going to be that same. It's not going to be there. It's not going to be that same body. So knowing how to deal with those changes as they happen, instead of when I gained 35 pounds freaking out because I didn't know what to do, I knew I didn't
mm,
love it, but I
mm.
knew what I had to do. Like I knew what styles I could morph into to still make them flattering. So that's such a game changer that I would love it if they would stop by and get some, like kick off their body shape journey on that.
Yeah. Please do,
Yeah.
because this is, I mean, if we're going to stand tall and own who we are, whether or not you're a petite,
Yep.
it's this body shape quiz should work for you. And
Hmm.
y'all, it's 2 minutes and 7 questions. How easy is that, right? I
It's
mean, this is not going to be a time suck. This is
no.
going to give you information.
Mhm.
And I will tell you, Angela will not, if you, it'll probably put you on Angela's email list, but she will not inundate you. She
No.
does not. I mean, what do you, maybe once a week? I don't even think
Mhm.
it's that
Yes.
often. So, and they're always packed with good little information.
Good.
Yeah. So, as we kind of wind it up though, as you've grown your business, and I love, we've been in business about the same amount of time. What is it that you've had to learn as a woman, as a business owner, to kind of stand tall and own that maybe you didn't when you first started?
Such a good question and so much harder than I thought it was going to be. I was like, that's what I'm going to say. So I think and because the election in the US was here
Yep.
last week. And I think it's just a perfect example, not only for branding, but also for business. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter what you say, doesn't matter how sweet you try to be or how much you try to please everybody, 50% of the people are not going to like you.
Yeah.
And I just, and I mean, I knew that in my head, of course, but I think the election was just like, oh my gosh, it doesn't matter. You could
Right.
say anything. Half the people are going to hate me. Well, okay,
Mhm.
so if that's the case, then why am I twisting myself up into a
Yeah.
pretzel trying to make everybody, not going to happen. Stop it. Like that's not what to focus. That's not what I should be focusing on. So I think that when I just thought, you know what? Whatever. I can't I can't help 50. I mean, I couldn't coach one-on-one 50% of the people in my world
Right. Right.
anyways.
Hmm.
So 50% liking me is probably still too much. I'm just
Right.
kidding.
It is. Well, but instead of focusing on the 50% that don't like you, what do you
Right.
focus?
Right. So, and I don't know when it happened. I think it might have been when I started my YouTube channel. I was so resistant. I was like an old man stuck in the fast lane going 20 miles an hour. I was like, nope, not doing it, not doing it. Those chicks on YouTube or me, no, not doing it. But I thought, and I don't know if it was a business coach that helped me walk through this. I always like to take credit, like I just had an epiphany, but then it was really my business coach that was like, girl, I've been telling you that for 6 damn months. What's your
Yeah.
problem? But if this is the one thing, if doing a YouTube video is that if that's the one thing that's standing between you and the success that you want to meet, are you really going to say no to that? Is
Mm.
that is it are you that's really going to be like your deal breaker right there? And I thought, oh my God, that's so true. What if this is the one, like, what if this is the thing that just propels me? And so I
Mhm.
have to do that. The YouTube channel was like one example. I have to do it like probably once a day or once every other day, whatever. I think, okay, if this is the one thing that's going to is standing between me and success, then get over it. Just get over it and do it. what's the
Yeah.
worst thing that can happen? And I know that that sounds easy. It's totally not. I will literally be standing in front of the camera going, oh, I will do anything not to film a video today. So it's something I have to remind myself of a lot. But yeah,
Well, here's a trick.
yes, tell
Record
me.
conversations and then just add them to your channel. So, which is what I do every time I give a podcast interview. As soon as it's out on YouTube, I go and add it to a list on my channel. So, of course, these podcast episodes go out there as well. But
Yes.
yeah. And so, when you stand up and own, so what is it that you're standing up and owning there? Is it that you are, that you have something to say or that you are dedicated to your business? Or
Right.
because on that page that our listeners will go to, it says, are you an ambitious petite? And I'm like, well, heck yeah, I am, and so that resonates really nicely. But what is it that is it the success that you're pushing back against? What is it that you're kind of
No, I think it's just the confidence to put yourself out there. I think, especially, and I'm sure everybody would say this, I, of course, think, especially with style, because
yeah.
there's so many girls out there that have, like, according to Instagram, their lives are amazing and they're so glamorous. And I'm
Mm.
like, I'm not glamorous and my life isn't super duper exciting unless I have to go to Publix twice a day instead of just once and then bar the doors because that's like super exciting. But do you know what I mean? So just having that, like I think saying, you know what, I'm going to do style, but I'm going to do it differently and
Mm.
it's okay. And it's not like you're going to look at my Instagram page or LinkedIn or whatever and be like, "Oh my gosh, look at her. She's on the beach. She's working 2 hours this week." Yeah, that's not how this goes, right? So, and just being okay with that. Like
Yeah.
an influencer is not the same as a coach, and it's okay to be a coach. Again, 50% of the people aren't going to like you anyway, so what difference does it make?
Yeah.
So, just being okay with that whole or accepting of it or
Have you found that others are inspired by you being willing to do that?
I don't know. I hope, well, I know my clients are inspired,
Well, I
not
can tell you,
necessarily.
as a follower, I'm inspired.
Oh,
So,
good. Oh,
yeah.
good. I think the big thing, and I think when it like another like big turning point in my business was when I was like, you know what? It has to be a coach because at the time they were like, what does that even mean, a style coach? They're like, you're a personal shopper? Well, yes, I do. But the bottom line is I'm not always going to be there when you're shopping, no matter how closely we work together. That's just, and you have to know what to look for to dress your body. Because bottom line, you have to get dressed tomorrow. And so few women actually know how to shop,
Mm-hmm.
not only just for their body type, but just shop in at all. So
Hmm.
if I can show them how to shop, whether it's with me or not with me, it's going to make their life so much easier. It's going to
Yes.
make their closet better. It's going to make them happier, all of that. So I was like, I really need to teach them the process, like what you wish your mom would have taught you if she would have known these things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
that you can then move on and everything's easy.
Oh, I love this.
Oh, good.
And I also would love to just drop in and see, have you done core values work? Do you know what, I mean, I heard you say it's that thing, I don't want to drop the ball. And I like went down to the bottom of my document. I said, maybe that's part of her core values. Have you done any of that work?
A little bit with business coaches,
Uh-huh.
probably not as, or I think it's like been a section of the, like, because I've had, well, I mean, since I've gotten into business, I've had, various business coaches, but, and it's always been like a part of it. I think one of my challenges, not just with core values and that type of thing, is I have attention deficit disorder. So I get very easily distracted. So it's hard for me, no matter how much I want to return to things that it's so hard for me to remember. I was like, what was I supposed to be doing now? I forget. So all of that. But yes, so not as much as I would like to.
What if you
Definitely,
had some non-negotiables? How do they show up in your work?
right? I 100%, and I will do anything to make this happen.
Okay.
Make sure that my clients feel like, oh, wow, that was more than worth every single penny.
Okay.
That was so much more than I expected her to give me, whether it's additional time or additional, shopping boards or additional, whatever it is. I always want them to feel like, number one, they're my only client.
Mm,
And I will do everything I can to have them walk away and be like, wow, that was worth every penny.
cool. I love that.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
yeah, well, because you're a service provider, right? So, I mean, you're a service provider and you're a teacher. Have you ever thought of yourself as a teacher? Because I'm having to own that myself, that a lot of the work that we do is teaching. I mean, you just said, I want to teach people
Yes.
how to shop.
Yes. So I think, yes. I- And I don't know, I could be splitting hairs, and I would love to know what you think about this. So I always think of a teacher like when we were growing up, somebody
Hmm.
that stood in front of the class, this is the way it is, this is what you got to learn, there's going to be a test. Whereas I feel like a coach, it's more collaborative.
Hmm.
And there's that part of me that was never a cheerleader, but really, really wanted to be a cheerleader that I feel like taps into that like unrealized dream of 16-year-old me. Like I wanted to be a cheerleader. So I feel like it has that like good thing, like, it's more like collaborative and then I can be cheering them on. Like I do have to say, the majority of my clients are like, you're always so positive, and I always feel so supported. I'm like,
Hmm.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
And if
you've hit
that's
your
not what you,
goal. Yeah, I mean, so for me, it's like spunky, welcoming, and wise. I want people to feel like they belong. I want to feel like
yes,
what they get from me is worth every penny,
yes.
or more than what they've got, what they
Mhm,
paid.
mhm,
But when I hear this collaborative education, and I think that's a word that I would use, I'm starting to kind of own that for coaches. I'm starting to push back with people because I think that as coaches, we do probably more educating than we realize. And so maybe an educator, because that's what I've started. I mean, I'm a transformational leadership coach. And in that, there's definitely some education that must happen.
mhm.
And for clearly for what you do, education must happen.
Yes,
And
yes.
so I like that collaborative education. I like that a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So true, right? Because you can't just be a cheerleader and you can't just
Right.
be, do you know what I mean? Because that gets us nowhere.
Oh my gosh. And it's
6 months from now.
exhausting.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and Andrea, 6 months from now, your closet's still a hot mess and you
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
don't have anything to wear. So like,
Nope.
that's not helpful either. So it is that like delicate balance. That's one of the things that's so fun, besides for all the other stuff that I said. But one of the things that's so fun is learning like how much cheerleading a client needs and
Mm.
how much education they need and what is that happy balance that makes them feel like I walked away with just the right amount,
Yep.
not too much. I
Hmm.
used to love to do that, just like vomit everything I knew on somebody. And they were like,
Sure.
"What? What do I do
Yeah.
now?" I don't
Well,
do that anymore. So,
Yeah, and I think we all have to get to that place, and I do the same thing sometimes, and I'm learning. I was a cheerleader, and there's a specific, but it was for basketball, and there's a specific energy that you have to bring, and there's a specific hype that you have to bring, but it's for a specific time period.
right.
Okay. I mean, we
Yes.
think of cheerleaders as people who are just constantly going. It's like, no, they're a cheerleader for the game. And then they
Yes.
go off and they read their book for 5 hours. And because we're actually an introvert. And so understanding as we age our own energy levels and how they
Yep.
show up, and
Mhm.
you're figuring out your kind of your superpowers of being able to see what that balance is. And I love that. So even if people can't hire you, we know to look for people who help us figure out that balance that we need
Yes.
between helping us figure things out and encouraging us. And that's us always a walk, right? We're always
Mhm.
figuring that out.
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
Before we go, I love to ask if there's like one last piece of advice that we may not have covered, or if there's something you can just always be optimistic about. What would that be that you want to share?
Oh my gosh. Can I share two things?
Yep.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
So the first one is, despite the fact that my clients always say I have nothing to wear, not one of them has an empty closet.
Yeah.
So more clothes is not the answer. So before anybody goes out to shop, gets excited and goes out to buy anything, like dial back on the shopping.
Okay.
We have to have a plan before we go shop. Otherwise, we're just making a bigger issue out of an issue that we already had.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. Second thing is in regards to being optimistic, I feel like women, especially high achieving, successful type A personalities, feel like, oh, I just wasn't born with a style chromosome. I don't
Mm.
know what chromosome that is, but there is one. And I just wasn't born with it. Right. So I'm just going to wear, like this and that for the rest of my life and move on. It's not like that at all. Yes, there is absolutely an artistic piece of it, but really it's science and it's understanding proportion and volume. And once you understand that, style is really a lot easier and more fun than you think it is.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking, oh no, I've tried it before, it doesn't work. It's not, but all of that, if that's what your listeners are like, if any of them, which I can't imagine after our conversation, if any of them are like, oh yeah, I'll worry about that some other point in time or whatever. It is so much easier. And once you figure it out, it is just the best. It
Mm.
makes everything, it makes life, getting dressed, your closet, shopping, money, everything so much easier.
Yeah,
So,
I love that. I mean,
yes, you can learn
everybody that
it.
says I have nothing to wear, they still have a full closet. That's just guilty.
Right.
Yeah,
I
and
know. I know.
been there. But I also, I spent 25 years in higher education and worked with lots of doctors and scientists and have run into that. Well, I just wasn't born with a style chromosome. I've literally heard that.
Yes.
And being able to say, but you can reflect who you are without giving up on that.
Yes.
Even if you have to wear a white coat over it, I mean, it's just like you get to show up as who you are.
Yes.
I hope listeners that this has been a really good conversation. I appreciate you, Angela, being so willing to share, and your cheerleader desire energy comes across. It's lovely, it's encouraging, and so we have. I will definitely put the website in the show notes. But tell us if where's the best the best place for people to be in touch with you.
Absolutely. LinkedIn, 100%. So that was discovering LinkedIn and how much fun it was and
Mm,
how it wasn't like everything else was like
hmm.
a game changer for me. So, yes, definitely
Cool.
on LinkedIn. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I also have a YouTube channel where I spottily, inconsistently, clearly, I don't have Andrea's gene of being consistent.
I don't know why you think I'm consistent. I just been here
Yes.
a long time. Um,
Yes.
yeah, and your
No.
YouTube stuff, I will tell you, it's great. And they're not
Oh,
long
thank you.
videos, so it's not
No.
like you got to sit through like I put
Oh,
these out on, so these are nearly an hour, so but they're shorter, they're bite-sized pieces. They really help with things and we get your personality. So I would just
thank
encourage you to
you.
do more because we need
Yes.
that energy out there and you have your own unique style. And I'm just going to go back to this. I'm going to be a coach, a style coach, but I would do it different.
Oh,
I love that. I'm going to do it as me. And so bravo. Thank you so much for
thank you,
helping the
ma'am.
rest of us learn how to stand tall and own who we are in our style. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been the highlight of my day, without a doubt.
Thanks, Angela.